Resident Evil series, one of the best series in survival horror genre, which with its first and fourth title put new standards in the gaming world is forever considered remarkable. Most of gamers at least played one or two titles of the series. Personally, I have a lot of memories with it. I was playing Resident Evil when I was a kid. The memories I have with this game is for me so unique and they will always stay with me. The series itself had a lot of upside downs in its development and had a lot of change, meanwhile stayed loyal to the roots. But the most significant turning point in the Resident Evil series was releasing of RE6, which caused so many things to change. RE6, the game itself, is actually not bad if you don't consider it as a part of Resident Evil series. In fact, it's a good action game with good shooting and dodging mechanism. The development of this game started July 2009. According to the producer, the first 6 months went for gathering the team. The team itself was made of 150 members, but considering all the external partners and outsourced elements, there was over 600 members working on this game. Because the previous title, RE5, where they introduced a new partner system, add more action to the gameplay, and get positive feedback, was a success, the team decided to make their gameplay core based on the partner system once again, and go even more action in the new title. From the start, the team wanted to have 4 different campaigns with a bigger scale, but at the same time, they didn't want the series go in a bigger scale with next titles. It was just for this one. With 4 different campaigns, the game had a lot of content. By adding 4 campaigns, each having different atmosphere, the team wanted to avoid the game from being repetitive and keep all fans happy.
Everything started with President Adam wanting to reveal the truth behind Raccoon City incident in a meeting in University of Toulouse. But with a terrorist attack happening there, everyone turns into zombies. When Agent Leon and Agent Helena rush there, they saw the President Adam turn into a zombie. They had to shoot him. This makes the situation even worse and end up being suspects for working with terrorists. Now they must clean their names.
You see one of them, aim for the head. It's your best bet.
Got it.
This is where the reception was gonna be. They'd all be here eating dinner right now if...
You think anyone survived?
I hope so.
While playing as Leon, you encounter normal people and help them. Fight with zombies, crawl your way out of the streets, and question who really is your partner, Helena. Leon campaign have a dark tune, a slow rate, and mysterious environments, with focusing on Leon solve the case he gets involved to, meanwhile trying to survive. Wanted to be close to the previous games.
I can't keep running away. I have to face the truth, accept responsibility. That's the only way I'll ever remember. The only way I'll get my life back.
HQ to Alpha Team. No change to your mission. Suppress the bioterror outbreak while proceeding to Point Ace of Spades.
Roger that. Preparing to drop on the 8 o'clock. We'll make our way to the Ace of Spades and find those UN workers.
As a captain with responsibilities of leading his squads, keeping them safe but failing in it, Chris was lost and more broken than ever. After Pierce, another member of BSAA, reminding him that the world needs him, one more time, he came back to the battlefield to fight with terrorists and save the world. Chris' campaign, with having a lighter tune, passed the raid and focusing on Chris, moving forward to complete his mission as a soldier while he was losing his squad and end up being alone, wanted to be the action side of Resident Evil 6. Wesker always had a connection with most of the Resident Evil games. The team wanted to tie him to this title too, and that's how we get Jake. Wesker's hidden secret, his son, Jake. Jake is a mercenary and works for rebels. After everyone in base used a medicine called Energy Booster, go crazy and transform to monsters, Sherry show up and explain Jake that she got orders to take him, since that his body have antibodies to the virus that terrorists were using. This was the reason Jake didn't transform after using that medicine. Jake campaign stands somewhere between other two, with focusing on new melee mechanism, being chased by a powerful monster non-stop, and with having a more personal storyline, wanted players to get to know the new character better.
Did you even see the kind of helicopter they sent after us? I mean, a bird like that costs around $15 million. Man, terrorism is lucrative.
Maybe they have an oil baron or two in their pocket.
Oil barons. You know, in the country I was born in, people think Uncle Sam causes most of the problems in this world.
The famous mysterious woman in red, Ada Wong, had returned too. After receiving a message from Simmons telling her there might be something she'd be interested in, Ada Wong goes to the place Simmons described and finds a submarine. There, Ada also finds out that she gets orders to capture a man named Jake Muller. However, this order was from more than 6 months ago, and she didn't have any memory of receiving an order like this. So she followed Simmons to discover what he is hiding.
There's the cathedral. Now to find my way into your lab, Simmons. Can't believe you went through with it. Poor town. This bears investigating. Leon, so you've been caught up in this too. Hope you have the stomach for it.
In Ada campaign, players didn't have a partner. There were more puzzles than the other campaigns, and the storyline was focusing on the questions which wasn't answered in other storylines. Something similar to Ada's section in RE4. With having Leon and Chris in the same game, team at the beginning planned to make one of them get killed and give a shock to the players, but they end up canceling this because they decide that Chris' partner getting killed is more emotional and it will be a waste losing Chris or Leon. The other thing that couldn't find its way to the game was Ada Wong having 4 or 5 clones, so the fans would discover that each Ada they encountered from previous games were actually different Ada Wongs. But since that it wasn't possible in RE4, they cut it out.
Also, zombies find their way back to the game after being absent in Resident Evil 4 and 5. Moreover, developers, by adding completely new enemies, wanted to create a fresh experience for the players. It was around development of this game the RENet was introduced, an online service where you could share your progress and achievement with your friends, and at the same time follow their progress too. You can tell by now the game tried to be good in all aspects and make everyone happy. But the question is, why it failed.
Graphics and level design were really good. Characters were detailed with good animations and a very good design. AI were so much better than before and giving the gamers a better experience of having a partner. Storytelling was just as you expected from RE games, making you feel involved in the story and connect to the characters. Also, with having some of the best enemies in the series, game was giving a good experience. Even though game didn't have a good start, it sold over 10 million copies and became 4th best-selling title in Capcom. But the problem was, making everyone happy was impossible. Tim forgot why this franchise get famous at the first place. If you had a history with this series, you could tell it wasn't a Resident Evil game. The game was being more a survival game than a survival horror. It actually even never tried to scare you. And by progressing, the only thing you could see was everything getting more action in a blockbuster Hollywood movie way. Tim was successful with it and created a good game. But they did the right thing in wrong place. Lacking puzzles were another weak point for the game. According to the team, the decision to make less and easier puzzles were made because during RE5 development, when they were at testing stage, most of testers that were playing the game were hating those puzzle-solving sections. And Tim also mentioned that the majority of players out there hated this aspect of RE games.
Was it true? But puzzles were most important elements of RE games that helped to create that scary atmosphere. Just imagine first games of the series without their puzzles. Even though the Leon section, as the team said, was going to be royal to the Resident Evil roots, didn't have any remarkable puzzle or a scary side. The game get poor or average reviews when it released and make most of the Resident Evil fans angry. This avoided the game to even show how good it was in the ways it tried to be good. At the end, game sold good but get forgotten by fans faster than anyone could thought. This was the point that Capcom understood something is wrong.
After Resident Evil 6, Capcom decided to step back with the franchise and think about the direction series need to go, with the knowledge that they need to return to survival horror genre. By now, they knew it's a hard task to make everyone happy in only one game, and they need to choose the audience they want to approach. Game development began at February of 2014. A team made of 120 members with a lower budget start to work on the next title. The team get inspiration from 1981 movie The Evil Dead. The reason of this was The Evil Dead with a low budget and few cast was giving the audience a good experience. So by keeping this in mind, they decide to go back to a much smaller scale, also with the minimum characters as much as possible in plot. Another movie that had effect on game was 1980 movie The Shining, a timeless movie in horror genre. Film was showing the audience a family in an isolated hotel that being disturbed by demonic forces. In the game, Jack, father of Baker family, was having the same name with the father of family in The Shining was a direct reference to the movie. Looking back to original game, Tim understood that one of the reasons make it scary was the unknown main characters. No one knew who was Chris or Jill, or are they gonna make it to the end? With this idea in mind, they decided it's better have minimum connection with the previous main characters and plan to bring an ordinary person as the main character without any background in franchise. Any online co-op were not allowed, and partner system get cut from game to help the team have more focus on single player and giving a better experience of horror. Also, game perspective changed to first person. This would allow the team to create a more personal storyline for players. Resident Evil was always famous for having a balanced graphic between realistic and unrealistic. In one interview, RE6 producer mentioned that the legendary director Shinji Mikami always was saying that the key to present the world of Resident Evil was this balance of real and unreal. You mix these two together and it creates this believable, realistic world of RE games. But for the first time in franchise, the new title aimed for a photorealistic graphic. In result, this was making the game spookier and helped the team create an amazing and realistic environment that give anxiety and stress to the players, but at the same time keep the essence of RE games.
The first I've ever seen make it this far.
At the beginning, game's supposed to have puzzles that you could find in a real house. But after testing, team understood that they are difficult and not fun to solve. This would result the players to quit playing. So by adding unrealistic side to puzzles, which was giving a fun aspect, they tried to reach a balance in puzzles. This was keeping players' interest in solving them, also without causing too much stress. After Resident Evil 4 leading the franchise in an action way, which continued in Resident Evil 5 and 6, for the first time, gameplay gets slower and realistic. Like always, the option to fight back was given to the players. But this time, not always, in every situation you could defend yourself. At some parts, player had to decide whether to run or fight, as how it is in the classic RE games. Other additional elements that get cancelled was giving ability to hold breath. You're supposed to use this feature for hiding yourself from the enemies, but because it was so much stressful for 15 hours of playthrough, didn't find its way to the final game. Story starts with one of the characters, Ethan Winters, going to Louisiana after receiving a strange message from his wife, Mia, who went missing 3 years ago while she was on babysitting and considered dead. In search for his wife, Ethan ends up in the front gates of an abandoned house. By going forward and searching the house, he finds his confused and scared wife at the basement. But without any explanation, Mia begs Ethan to run away from the house, and all of a sudden, she disappears. Ethan, confused, looks around for Mia and finally finds her. But now, the person he is seeing in his wife's body isn't really his wife. He gets shocked in front of this Mia, acting like a crazy and look like she's possessed by an evil force. When Mia attacks and tries to kill him, there is no choice left for Ethan. He fights back and kills this possessed wife. Ethan gets knocked down by someone from behind. When Ethan wakes up, he finds himself in the same table with a crazy family. The only thing he knows, he has to run away from this madhouse.
Resident Evil 7 done an amazing job in putting the franchise in the track it needed to be. The team behind the development of Resident Evil 7 put a lot of effort and create an amazing game despite having a low budget, small team and a lot of stress that came as a result of all the changes done on a franchise which was having so many fans all around the world. The first time I saw the Baker house with an amazing design and atmosphere, I was feeling like I'm entering somewhere unknown. Searching for Mia, fighting with Baker family members, and getting into another world. It was an amazing experience for me. When the game came out to 2017, it received positive reviews and get prize for bringing RE back to its roots. But still, some fans were sad because of the change of the perspective, which goes from third to first person. In sale-wise, it made a strong start, and by the end of December 2020, it sold 8.5 million units.
At the end, both the games were good in the things they tried to be good. Capcom tried to do critical change on Resident Evil and step the series forward in different directions, but only Resident Evil 7 achieved that purpose. Resident Evil 6 will always stay as part of the franchise, but everything good and bad happened about it. With an open mind and without any hate, just play it. I'm so sure you will enjoy the good story, its action, and fun gameplay.